Welcome to Whatsoever More or Less. My name is Jason, and I have a quick follow-up thought for you on my last video regarding, I meant to bring up, I believe it's the 12th article of faith. I'm saying this off at the top of my head as I was listening to my other video after posting it. And by the way, the video I posted on Sunday morning was not filmed on Sunday morning. I just want to let you know I was homesick. I'm sure you can tell my voice has been sick for a few days. But Sunday I didn't record any videos. I just posted one that I had recorded Saturday. So just to let you know, I'm not a Sabbath breaker. Anyhow, I believe it's the 12th article of faith that says, we believe in being subjects to kings, rulers, magistrates, presidents, etc., in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law of the land. And I believe Ben McClintock was the first guy I heard mention this. And you know what, Ben, he makes me a little bit uncomfortable, actually kind of a lot of uncomfortable. I've had some nice back and forths with him, but I think he's going a wrong direction in general. But this was a really smart catch on his point. It's common for people to quote that article of faith saying, we believe in being subject to kings, rulers, magistrates, presidents, etc., and in obeying, and they'll add the word and when the word and isn't there. We believe in being subject to them in obeying the law of the land, right? So in other words, we don't believe in being subject to them in how we run our household, how we discipline our children. We don't believe in being subject to them in whether or not we choose to eat macaroni and cheese at night or bean burritos or whatever. I don't know. We only obey them. We only believe in being obedient to them in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the law. Now, the founding fathers, the overwhelming majority of them, if you would have asked them who the king or the ruler was in America, they would have said it's the Constitution. In other words, they would have said Lex Rex, right? Lex Rex being Latin for law of the king. The law is the king, right? So, okay. So if you're an American citizen, then literally what that 12th article of faith is saying is that you believe in being subject to the Constitution. And then Article 6, Clause 2 of the Constitution tells us that the supreme law of the land is first the Constitution. The laws that are passed through the Article 7, Clause 2 process, Article 1, Section 7, Clause 2 process that do not violate the Constitution, and then treaties that are passed through the Article 2, Section 2, Clause 2 process that do not, again, violate the Constitution. So that's the hierarchy of supremacy. That's the king that we're subject to. So if a law is passed, if you would have asked our founding fathers, if an unconstitutional law is passed, do we believe in being subject to that? Well, you might want to go read the Kentucky resolutions or the Virginia resolutions. Now, I'm going to say, I think the Kentucky resolutions, as much as it made a lot of people squirm sometimes, some of the Madisonian types and Adams types that were a little bit more, Hamilton, that were a little bit more maybe delicate or from the populated areas, that's probably really more of our founding doctrine. In other words, Wilford Rivers said those men who signed the Declaration of Independence were the best of men that God could find on the earth at the time. And Jefferson was the main contributor of the document they signed. So that's the Kentucky resolutions. Then the Virginia resolutions from Madison, who also is called the father of the Constitution, right? Their stance was an unconstitutional law isn't a law at all. Okay, even Hamilton said that. Even Adams said that. That was just the way it was said. And so we believe in being subject to the Constitution. But how can you be subject to the Constitution? Look up the Talk Truth and Liberty by L. Tom Perry. He says, how can you befriend that which you have not thoroughly studied and drunk deeply from the wells of its wisdom, right? In other words, if you haven't been deeply studying the Constitution, getting to the point that you can cross-reference it, know what's where and all that kind of stuff, then you haven't befriended it yet. You just haven't. So And that's who we believe in being subject to, if you're an American citizen at least, right? If the Constitution truly is still our Constitution. If it's not, let's just be honest about it. Just say, we call it our Constitution, but it's more like the King of England, right? So anyhow, that's all I had for you. Look, the King is the Constitution, and we only believe in being obedient to the King in obeying the supreme law of the land, which the supreme law of the land is the Constitution. So basically, that's a double, 2 or 3 witnesses right there, if you want, of know the Constitution. You got to know the Constitution to be able to even be able to honestly follow that article of faith. That's all there is to it. You got to know the Constitution. Anyhow, I'm here at my first lesson for the day. Hope you guys have a great day. Talk to you later.